Welcome to the Mustang Valley of Nepal. It all started with an incredible opportunity from Vintage Rides to fly to Nepal and ride a Royal Enfield motorcycle across the country. This has tested me and my anxiety coping skills more than anything I have ever done before. In the last episode, I landed in Nepal, figured out how to ride in the hectic traffic of Kathmandu and Pokhara, rode across some crazy suspension bridges, and began our push into the lower Mustang. In this part of the journey, we properly begin our ascent to Low Montang. We'll ride at the foot of the Himalayas through small villages, and the roads are only going to get worse. I woke up on day 4 in awe of the beauty of Tatopani. Also, the view of the mountains around us and realizing that we were really here. We were getting ready to enter the lower Mustang Valley, and I felt kind of hopeful.
So same thing that we said yesterday, so we're gonna go here. Let's see right before the waterfall. If we can stop, we'll have to wait like 5-10 minutes for Tashi to come. Next stop is Gasa, which is the check post. We keep on going, we pass through the village of Lete, and on the other side, when the valley comes up big, we'll stop on the left for a tea, take some pictures for 20-25 minutes. We have the big river valley here, and then we come into Kagbeni for lunch, and after lunch is pretty easy. And then okay, tell them to go fast.
The first part of the road was surprisingly okay, and we made our way through this ravine with just amazing light. I mean, how can you not stare at those mountains in just all of their glory while you're still in shadow because you're so deep between these mountains? It was incredible, you guys. I know that I'm going to say that word a lot, but it was.
En fait, ils ont raboté tout ça. La piste, initialement, c'était ça.
Ça c'est bitumé depuis 1 an, donc that's paved since 1 year. That used to be really bumpy and hard to get up. But the road's like, it's like a friend. It's like an old friend who's always changing. It's like a kid. Like every time I come back, it's different. Been up here like 25 times. The road is always changing is very accurate here. One moment it was really tight and rocky
and you're looking down off the edge of a cliff, and it's so tight you can barely fit two motorcycles next to each other, and you're hoping that a bus doesn't just randomly come around the corner. And then the next moment, it was smoothed out and wide and sometimes paved. I think the thing that was most interesting to me is that the rate of construction wasn't regular, like it didn't start paved closer to Pokhara and then increasingly get worse as we went towards Lomontong. There would be stretches where it was really rough and tight, and you're like, how did they get construction vehicles through here? And then the next moment it was smooth and paved. It was just really interesting. Honestly, looking back on it, this stretch of road between Tatopani and Jomsom was probably my favorite part of the trip and the ride in general. I mean, I'm sure that the pavement definitely had its hand in coloring my opinion, but being in the trees and then also having this spectacular view of the mountains around us was definitely my favorite.
So this is about 20-25 minutes max. Little tea and pictures.
Yeah.
Can't fuck it up. What do you like to drink? Black tea?
Black tea.
Black tea? Qu'est-ce que tu bois? Yep. Ah, let me a bit.
Merci Pascal.
Now that we were out of the hectic part of traffic, I felt more comfortable listening to some music again while we were riding, and it really helped me get out of my own head and my swirling negative thoughts. It's also probably part of the reason why I look back on this day more favorably than the first few days of this trip. We rolled into Jomsom, where Josh stopped to buy some apples, and I witnessed this adorable moment with a cow and a shop owner that I will remember forever. At the edge of town, we stopped at our second police checkpoint, which is mostly there to make sure that we all have our permits to be in the Mustang Valley as foreigners, and we waited here for a little while for our support car to catch up with us, since we could move a little bit more faster than they could on these roads.
Hi, sweetie.
Then came the big hill climb. Le Montagne sits at 12,598 feet. That's our destination. There are a few steps that we needed to do to acclimatize so that we could get to that elevation without getting sick. One of them is just ascending the road very gradually, and the other is staying very hydrated. But we also needed to ascend to higher elevations during the day and then descend to a lower elevation to sleep at night. So, our tour guide added this little detour to our route where we rode all the way up to 12,444 feet before we went back down to where we would sleep that night. The Royal Enfield chugged along and did its best, but I was definitely missing the torque of the Africa Twin during this little hill climb.
Then we're gonna go road stop. We're gonna keep on going behind this road back here. See this behind the village? How it goes up? Go up to the top. Stop. Take a picture. And that's where I normally then cut down the other side of this mountain. But I don't want to. I'm not looking to like spend 2 hours pushing bikes and carrying them and all that stuff.
getting elevation sickness was a genuine fear that I had before I even went on this trip. So I had talked about it with my doctor before I left the US, and I got a prescription for medication just in case I experienced any kind of symptoms. So when we got to the top of this hill climb and I felt really lightheaded, I was really scared and I didn't want to get off the bike. I watched everybody play around the rocks and focused on box breathing and drinking some water from my hydration backpack. Even though I didn't get off the bike, the view was incredible in a very stark desert kind of way. By the time that we came back down from the first descent, I was starving. We stopped and had lunch in Kagbeni, and I was still wrestling with my own pace while riding, my own anxieties, and we had a little bit of rice, a spicy pumpkin dish, which was delicious, and some greens. The greens were good, but definitely not washed well. I got a mouthful of dirt, and it kind of summed up how I was feeling. Trying to appreciate the good, but still dealing with the grit. Overall, though, I felt a little bit better than the day before. Small victories, right? We stopped at an overlook and got our first glimpse of Chukang, the little village that we would be spending the night in. And this is where it struck me the very stark contrast of where we had started the day in the trees, surrounded by these beautiful mountains, and now we were in this desolate, desert-like environment where the only trees were where they had been cultivated by humans. It felt incredibly inhospitable, and I was having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that there have been villages in this area for thousands of years.
Welcome up to birthday.
Namaste.
What is your name?
Amanda.
Amanda. My name Urken.
Uken.
Urken Lama.
Uken.
Lama Guru.
Before dinner, I took a little walk by myself around Chukang and explored the little orchard that was attached to the guest lodge that we were staying at that night, and marveled at this lush green garden that they have been able to cultivate here in the middle of this desolate feeling wilderness. After a lovely walk around town, dinner was soup with dumplings, which tasted just like chicken noodle soup and was delicious. Another day survived. I would be lying if I didn't say that I went to bed with my stomach in knots in anticipation for what the next day might bring.